they all do the same thing. Some do less. They all promise to automate things across different platforms, generate ads revenue, increase website views and impressions. But a large number of these bots would get you banned because you're only being told how to use the bot, but you're not being taught the safety precautions. On Okecbot, security and evading detection is our biggest priority. And so, we introduce the Proxy chain on version 4.5. How does the Proxy chain feature work? Simulate this. Imagine you're currently using a device. Each time you visit the internet knows your IP address. They would serve you content based on the location of your IP address. That means some access you would get because you're coming in from the US might not be given to you if you're coming in from another country that is not the US. We often want to use different IP address to mimic traffic from different locations. However, this could also cause us to lose our Google Adsense accounts, to lose whatever accounts we have, because most platforms will get you banned if they discover you're currently using a bot or using IP addresses that have already been blacklisted. To save you all from any form of Google AdSense detection, ADS detection, Ezoic detection, or getting banned by any system, we created what we call the Proxy chain. We understood that in order to be able to bypass all detection, your bot has to look as real as possible. This includes every single data down to the proxy. A proxy is basically a server we're going to be using its IP. So this simply means that instead of using the IP address of our computer, just like a VPN, we'll be using the IP address of another server, which is called a proxy server. There's a rule on Okecbot that states you should use a minimum of one IP address for a maximum of 20 bots. So this simply means if you create, let's assume you have a total of 20 bots for instance. Now what this simply means is that for every 20 bots, they shouldn't use less than one IP. This rule was brought due to the massive banned ads limit and suspension that we have noticed happening across other bot platforms that uses one static IP for numerous bot activities. In a nutshell, this is a group of bots. The Berlin 001 to the Berlin 0027 are all bots. Some bot has been deleted, but on this particular list, we have a total of 12 bots. Each of this particular device right here mimics a particular device. Each of these bots rather mimics a particular device. Berlin 001 for instance is actually simulating a OnePlus 8T. Berlin 002 is simulating a Samsung S21 Ultra. As each of these devices are all listed here, they are currently not using a proxy server, so you can see it shows local network. Now what we tend to achieve on the proxy chain is to create what we call a server or a location. This simply means that if for instance I come down to the free executor and turn on the bots, let's assume I turn on bot 001. This means that the bot 001 would use my local network. From what you can see here on the proxy server, it says local network. This bot has been switched on and I will head over to whor.net. On whor.net, you would clearly see that my IP address is coming in from Nigeria. This means that this is my IP address and I'm currently here in Nigeria. If I switch on say more bots like 002, 003, 005 and let's say 006, if I switch every single one of these bots, they would all use my local network, which would obviously be the network on my computer, which would in other words be the same thing as the IP address you saw not so long, which is this same IP address here, 102.9192.111. I'm going to also open this here as well. And I'm also going to open this here as well. Now, it is quite evident before you at the moment that every single one of this device being opened practically uses the same IP. Now, where the problem comes in is when you're trying to generate ads revenue. If every single one of these devices, in as much as they have like their own cookie, in as much as they are different devices in a nutshell, because they're actually cloning other devices, the Berlin 002 is cloning a X21 Ultra. The 003 is cloning a Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus. The 005 is cloning S20 Ultra. The 006 is cloning a OnePlus 9 Pro. Now, just to let you know this for real, I'm going to head over to Google and say, what is my device? Now, I'm going to copy this because I would run this across multiple platforms. So let's go to what is my device. I'm going to head over to deviceinfo.me. On deviceinfo.me, you would clearly see what device this particular bot is cloning. Now, if we scroll down, you can see this particular bot is cloning, wasn't specifically stated there. I presume this could be the One Plus, so there wasn't a proper description of it. So I would copy this deviceinfo.me and I will take it to some other bot, say this bot. Now basically, I would want you to pay a deep attention. Every single one of these bots practically uses the exact same IP. However, this particular bot is being identified as Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra. This one is one of those devices that has not yet made so much of a name, so this is what they gave them as a code name. If I switch on another bot or open up another bot and still search for the device.me to know what device it is, you will also notice it's another device. So this other one as well is claiming to be some other device. You can see the device model, maybe one of these devices that are not that popular. I don't know what specific device is that, so I'm going to head over to another bot. What I'm basically trying to show you at the moment is that each and every one of these particular bots practically clones a device. This is cloning S21 Ultra. This is S20 Ultra. This is some other device. You get the check. Now, when they perform an activity, they perform these activities as completely unique devices. However, the only thing that gets them detected is their single IP address. This means that each of these bots has a cookie, has a local storage, practically has a bot. In the eyes of Google or any bot detection system, they should be seen as different devices. However, they are being identified by one single IP. Now, this is not a problem because when you use your cell tower, which is your normal cellular internet, each time you on your mobile data on your phone, you're being given an IP address by your cell provider. This IP address is not peculiar to you. The same way they gave you that IP address is the same way they will give it to some other people. If the cellular data is coming in from, let's say, Wi-Fi. So let's assume you have a Wi-Fi at home, and this Wi-Fi has a SIM card. Now, what this simply means is that that particular Wi-Fi would be using one IP address, and if you have 20 devices connected to that Wi-Fi, they would all be using one IP address. So, in a nutshell, the IP address of a Wi-Fi is being extended to every device connected to that Wi-Fi, and IP addresses are being given to you by your ISP. They're not given to you specially, they're being rotated. One IP that is being given to you today or this moment could be changed in the next 1 hour and given to some other person while you get a new IP address. This is a way the ISP helps to protect you by switching your IP addresses once in a while and exchanging it with some other IP while giving your previous IP to some other person. Now, why this is actually very, very good, it becomes a problem when you actually run bot activities. Now, this is because if, let's say, for instance, I had all those bots turned on and I have every one of them driving traffic to my YouTube channel or to my websites. Now, the problem comes in because if my Wi Fi, which is the current network I'm using on my computer, changes from one IP to the other IP, It means somehow every single device that I'm currently using will currently have their IP address changed to the same IP address as this Wi-Fi. So if they're doing me clicks, they're getting me traffic, impressions, the moment that is a switch from all of them into a new IP, it's already a red flag. And this means that every single action this IP addresses perform, or sorry, every single action any of these bots perform would likely be deducted. So now the only solution to this is to use a proxy server. However, there are different kind of proxy server. On this video tutorial, I'll walk you through the different kind of proxy servers and how best to set up a proxy server on Okecbot. The default way before was to create a bot using a proxy server. So if I click on the create bots, it shows me different ways I could make a bot. Each time I move a particular cursor on the iPhone, for instance, it generates lots of iPhone devices. The same thing appears whenever I move the slide on Android. Now, as I'm moving this slide, it's practically generating and adding up devices to my list. For instance, the 8 Plus, the Samsung, the S10, the One 8 Plus, and you get the point. Now I've actually slided all this. I can simply give them a name, say example UK, and I've given this total bot a name called UK. So what this simply means is that each of these bots would actually bear a name UK, but they would vary with a different number. Say for instance, the name of this bot is UK, or the name of this bot family is UK. This simply means that since the name of the family is UK, every single bot inside this family would have a name UK followed by a series of number. Now, the second section is the time zone. This often refers to the device time zone you want to clone. So right here, I'm going to put in Europe because Europe is where you have your London. So I'm going to put in Europe stroke London. So this simply means I'm calling a group of devices, which is 14 plus 6, a group of 20 devices, 14 iPhone, 6 Android. I'm giving them a name called UK, and I'm giving them a location Europe stroke London. Now previously, this was where you put in your proxy server. Now this simply means that if I want to use a proxy server, this is the place I would have to put in a proxy server. Let me show you how that works. So I'm going to use Smart Proxy, and on Smart Proxy I would choose Proxy Setup, and when I choose Proxy Setup I would choose this location over here, and I will change my location to the UK. Now this simply means right now my location has been changed to the UK. Now all I simply have to do at this point in time is to take these details I've gotten over here from Smart Proxy and fill them on Okecbot. So for instance, let's start with the server. Over here you can see proxy address. This refers to the server. I will just simply click on it. It's going to copy to clipboard, and I will head over to Okecbot and I'll put this here on the server. Now next is the ports. I will still head back to the Smart Proxy, and I can see the port right here is 10001. I'm going to click on it to copy. I will head back to Okecbot and I will paste that on the port. On the username, I will still head back to the Smart Proxy and I would copy the username, and I would go back to Okecbot and I will have this pasted on the username. And then finally the password, I will head back to the Smart Proxy, click on the password, and I will head back to Okecbot. Now I have my bot family created, which is the name UK. I have the location Europe stroke London. I have the proxy server sets. I have the proxy ports. I have the username, and I have the password. At this point I can click on start build. Now, when you click on Start Build, the bot would practically arrange every single one of those devices you have created and have them uploaded to Okecbot server. Now, this simply means that every single one of those bots you created has now been saved on Okecbot for future users. Now, let's go test those bots we just created. I'm going to head back to Okecbot menu and I'll click on Free Executor. On the free executor, the first bar here, which is this menu, is called the bot family. This refers to every single bot you have created along with their name. You recall when I said it is best to actually create different devices and give them a particular name. For instance, we had Berlin. The whole of Berlin's family, which means the entire bot within the bot family Berlin, has lots of devices. Now, those devices had no process server, so it used the local network. However, we created a new bot family called UK, and we also gave it a process server, which you can see over here. So just to let you know the difference between when you use a process server and not, I'm going to switch on these devices and it will make perfect sense to you. I'm going to turn on the devices, and when they come up, I'm going to head over to or.net so you can verify the location of these devices. Now this is the first bot, the second bot coming on board, and thirdly the last bot coming on board. We have the three bots running, and at this point in time we can start going over to or.net. However, I notice not to very fast and very quick. Each and every one of those bots quickly shuts down, and this could be only for one reason. Probably the bot's IP address was bad. Now you get the point. At this particular point in time, it becomes a very big problem because the only option you have right now is to delete every single one of these bots since they are already turned on, and in as much as they're already turned on, they're currently a problem at the moment. We're going to create what we call a proxy chain. This proxy chain basically is to use a proxy, but it gives us more flexibility that we don't have on the old way of creating a bot. The old way of creating a bot is just what we did over here. We created a bot. Unfortunately, you could clearly see that the bot we created was shortened down due to whatever reasons. Now we can't go back to modify maybe the password or whatever details was used to create this bot, so we're stuck. Now this simply means the entire bot section of this particular bot and every single thing this bot has done might likely be lost. We might likely delete it because we made a mistake while creating it. We probably gave it the wrong process server, or the process server is no longer available, it has expired, we have lost details to this process server. But however, we have done a lot of activities that we cannot afford to lose. Whichever it is, on the version 4.5 we released a feature that helps you create bots instantly. Sorry, helps you create locations and processes instantly instead of actually doing that the old way where you had to put them here. The new way is what I'm going to be walking you through. So the new way is to click on Okecbot and click on Proxy Chain. When you click on Proxy Chain, this is where you get to start putting in your details. So I'm going to start with putting in the same details we tried using before, which is Europe stroke London. I'm going to put in the saver, which is this saver over here. I'm going to put in the port, which is the port over here. But now this is where the proxy chain feature comes in. Instead of basically just copying, I would specifically select the IP address I want. So for instance, if I click on this direct IP and I tick this, say for instance 193.172.53.16, if I tick on this particular IP address, you will clearly see right now that the IP address is available to use. So what this simply means is that I can now tick a particular IP address, say this, and copy that particular IP address details. Head back to Okecbot and have it pasted here. Now the password, I will still have to head back to the smart proxy and copy the password, head back to Okecbot and paste it there. Now I can add to chain. Now what this simply means is that I have added one proxy server to this particular chain. It is now left for me to save it with a name. I'm going to save this with a name called UK underscore first underscore 5. Now, what this simply means is that I'm going to have 5 proxy servers inside this particular UK first 5, but at the moment I only have one proxy server here. I'm trying to show you how very flexible this approach is. This is because we can always go back to edit, add proxies, remove proxies, and modify details. But before I do that, let me show you how those bots that we weren't able to turn on will suddenly come on. I'm going to click on this menu. I'll click on free executor. I will head back to the UK bot family, and I will still turn on those same bots that did not come on before. But the only difference is that on this default location where it says that whatever was here should be used, I'm going to tick this default location and choose UK first 5, which means the first 5 proxy chain that we had created earlier. Now I can turn on the bot. Now the bot has come on, and each and every one of these bots will run perfectly fine without any issues. But however, I want you to notice something. I'm going to go to whoar.net on this. I'm going to also go to whoar.net on this, and I'm also going to go to whoar.net on this. So I have these 3 bots that were created opened, and on each and every one of these bots you can clearly see that they all have the same IP, which is 193.172.53.167. The same thing here and the same thing here. Now, this could be a problem if you have more than 20 bots using one IP address. So this simply means if we have a total of over 20 devices using one IP, this could be a problem. So you always have to make sure you have either a maximum of 20 devices using one IP, or you have a maximum of 100 devices in a bot family using 5 IPs. Now I'm going to be very factual with you. You're better off with the later. So this simply means that it is always good to have at least 100 bots, and these 100 bots in a family would have at least 5 IP addresses. Now what this simply does is it helps each and every single one of these bots bypass every single detection system known to Google or ADS. Let me prove it to you. Now we have the same IP on all devices. I'm going to go back to Okecbot and switch off this bot. So I'm going to tick every single one of these bots and turn it down. Beautiful. So we have all bots terminated. At this point in time, you would get to appreciate the new proxy chain feature on Okecbot. I will head back to clicking the menu, and on the menu, I'll click on the proxy chain. Remember when I said you can always modify, edit, and add? It's simple as clicking on edit proxy chain. Now every single one of the locations you have saved would cement. All you have to do is to click on this edit icon before the one you would want to edit. So right here I can see that we have just one IP within this UK Force 5. So I'm going to click on edit here. At this point in time, at the background, you can clearly see that the proxy details we have is currently opened here. Now the next step is to edit. If we feel like we want to change some details, things has changed, we can simply just hit the edit. It's going to edit back to what it was, but I'm not going to be editing anything because it works, and I can always add it back to the chain. Now the next thing to do is to add up to 4 more IPs to mimic a proper London cell tower. So by cell tower, I'm trying to refer to a mass. Each time your ISP gives you an IP, that IP address comes in from your ISP, which is the nearest cell tower, which is nearest mass close to you. Now, like I said at the beginning, this IP address will be given to you, but it's also being rotated to other people. So an IP address could be given to you at one point in time and also being given to other people. And then after a while, your own IP address changes. A new one is being given to you, and your previous one can be given to someone else. Now, the rotation is being done by the cell tower. This simply means your ISP handles all the rotation of IP addresses. On Okecbot, we created something similar to what your ISP does. This makes it completely impossible for Google to detect your bot activities. This is how it works. Currently, we have just one IP. Next is to put in as many IP as possible. So I'm going to head over to here again and tick this IP. So I've ticked another IP, almost the same thing as the previous one, but there's a little twist. The difference is this one has 193 193.17224 and 69. To make everything easy, I'll just use the clipboard to copy and paste them just the way they are. So we're going to start with the time zone. The time zone is Europe stroke London. Now, for every single location we create, we try to make sure the entire time zone is correct. This simply means if I'm going to be mimicking London, I have to make sure that every single location or every single IP would have the same time zone. If let's assume I'm claiming I am in Canada or I'm trying to mimic Canada, every single IP should be coming in from Canada and the time zone of the devices should also be the same time zone as Canada. Now we're stating this because if you use a rotating proxy, the rotating proxy could rotate you from one particular location, say Canada to UK, or from Canada to, let's say, US, within the US. But because you are actually rotating within the US, you don't have control over your time zone. At one particular location, your device time zone could be showing California time zone, and the next section is showing at a very distant state within the US. If you have different time zone on your devices in a very short period of time, it's impossible because you cannot travel from from one particular state to another state that fast. And if your proxy keeps on being rotated with the normal rotating proxy that this proxy vendors offer, because every proxy vendor has rotating proxy. So the way they rotate their own proxy puts people in danger. They could give you one particular location right now. Within few minutes, they take you to some other location completely different in time zone just because they feel you might want to be doing something anonymously. Now, when you work with Okecbot, you're not trying to generate views with lots of devices appearing like in a way that they don't get to track you. Instead, you're trying to make it look like real devices and you're letting them track you because that way every single thing you do can be legitimized. So because of this, you cannot use rotating proxies on Okecbot. Instead, you can get a single IP address of each particular IP, make sure they're on the same time zone, chain them on a particular proxy chain, call them a particular name, which is a location, and each time you use a particular bot family that is always using that proxy chain, you will never have any detection system issues. As long as the proxies are quite good, the same time zone, and you don't over abuse your activities, you would be completely 100% evasive of all detection system. So let me show you how that works. On this server, I'm going to put in the proxy. Next is to head over to the username as well. Now, if you got to notice, we have added a new IP address. So this simply means the IP address has also changed. Now, I can clearly see from here that, for instance, the first IP address we used was 167, I presume. That was the last number, and this one has 169 224.169. Now when you look at here, you will see this is 167, but this is 169. So what I would simply do is to copy this username for this particular IP. So I'm going to copy this and I will head back to Okecbot and I would paste that on my username. Now I also notice here, you can see this is 167, so this is 169. This means we're on track. So I would go back right now and look for the particular ports. If you check right now, you can see that this 169, which is what we just copied, has a port of 10002. So I'm going to copy this and I'll put it on Okecbot 1002. Then last but not the least, I would put in the password, which is this 1002. This is the password. I will tick on it. I will head back to Okecbot and paste that password over here. So I now have like another proxy, and if I add this to the chain, you will see right now we have two proxy. One ends with 167 and the other one ends with 169. Now I'm not going to stop here. I'm going to use a total of 5 proxies. So this is just to show you that for every 100 bots you need to use a minimum of 5 proxies. You can actually have 6 7 proxies, but a minimum of 5 proxies. So currently right now I have just 2. I would go add up more proxies. So I'm going to tick here and tick even more proxies to the chain. This gives me a total of 10 proxies. Now this gives me a total of 5 proxies. Now because I've added more proxies, it simply means some of the details I had before might be incorrect. So I have to cross check with Okecbot. So let's cross check. So firstly, we have the first proxy, which is this proxy right here, having a port 1001. The IP ends at 167. This is 167, 1001, 1002, 169. Let me confirm that as well. Good. 1002, 169. Beautiful. The next is to take the third proxy, which is this, and also put it on Okecbot. So I'm going to start with the time zone, which is Europe stroke London. And then next, I'm going to paste in the proxy server. I'm going to copy the ports, which is 1003. That's the ports. I'm going to head back to Okecbot and put in the 1003. I'm going to copy the username, which is here, and I'm going to paste that username on Okecbot, which is here. I'm going to copy the password, which is here, and I'll put that password as well on Okecbot, which is here. Now I have a total of 3 proxies on my proxy chain. Now let's make it 5, just the way we said. So I'm going to head back to here as well, copy the fourth proxy, head back to Okecbot, put in my time zone first, Europe stroke London, put in my saver, put in my ports. I presume this should be 10004, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, correct. I'm going to put in the username, and I'm finally going to put in the password. So I'm going to add this again. Now I have a total of 4 proxies. Now this is a total of 4 proxies, each of them a different port. Now finally, I'm going to put in the last one, which is the 5th proxy. So to do that, I'm going to put in the server. It's always the same thing. Now next, the ports, which I presume will be 1005, correct. Next, the username, which should be this. And finally, the password, which should be this. So beautiful. Now I have a total of 5 proxies. At this particular point in time, all I have to do is to click on edit proxy. Now remember at the beginning we saved a proxy called Okecbot underscore force 5. I'm going to delete that. But before I delete that, I'll copy the name. I've copied the name right now of Okecbot underscore force 5, so I'll delete it. Okay, perfect, deleted. So proxy chain was deleted successfully. Now if I click on edit again, you're not going to see that UK underscore force 5 because we just deleted it. Now what we're going to do again is to save it as UK underscore force 5 again. Remember we deleted it not too long, so we're going to save it again as UK underscore force 5. Now it feels like my network is getting slow a bit, so I'm going to quickly tunnel through another what's it called again, device. So I'm going to be switching to another device over here. So I'm going to disconnect this and switch to another device. Okay, so I just switched over to my iPhone. So I'm currently using my iPhone at the moment as a hotspot. So once connected, I'll head back to the edit proxy chain. On the edit proxy chain, I can see clearly we do not have UK underscore force 5 again. Now this means we can actually save this proxy chain once again as UK underscore force 5. So I'm going to click on save. Now it's all been saved. So this simply means if we actually head out of Okecbot, let's assume we went back to the free executor, we already have UK underscore first 5. But this time around, UK underscore first 5 no longer has one proxy, it now has 5 proxies. And whenever we head back to the proxy chain, and on the proxy chain, whenever we click on edit proxy chain and try to load that first 5, we can clearly see the entire 5 proxy chains or the entire 5 proxies we had added. Now, of course, we can actually edit, delete if that's what we want. Now, we're going to head back again to the free executor, and this time around, we're going to go back to the UK family. And at this particular point in time, I would make it make sense to you. So head over to the UK family, and we're going to switch on 10 devices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now 10 of these devices, if we turn them on, they would try to use the default location, which is not what we want. However, if we choose this default location and set UK underscore force 5, which is the proxy chain we created, now you're going to notice that for these 10 devices, each and every single one of them would have a proxy server from the pool of servers we had left. So that's 5 proxies we had on our proxy chain. Each of these bots would pick up one of those IP address. It's been done by itself. The system handles the whole logic, and each of them would use an IP address from that particular UK underscore force 5. So I'm going to patiently wait for every single one of these bots to be turned on, after which I would head over to whoa.net so we can confirm the IP addresses of each and every single one of these bots. So every single one of these bots has been switched on. Now let's go confirm the IP locations. whoa.net. The IP location of this bot is 45139.30.190. Now head over here as well. 45 128 8232. 193 17 253 167. Sorry. 193 17 224 169. I could keep going on and on, but what I'm trying to say at the moment is that each and every single one of these bots would pick an IP address in the proxy chain and execute it. However, I noticed quite some problem. Now this is simply why we had this particular feature. You would notice that this particular IP is in Indonesia, and it has like I think this IP address stops at 190. So I really do not know why that was happening, because this is the IP address. It should show UK, But currently, right now, you can see instead of the UK, it is actually coming in from or maybe I'm the one not getting it. So let's see, Indonesia. Um, okay, so confirmed. Indonesia is in Asia. So this simply means it's not in the United Kingdom. So now all I have to do is to head back to Okecbot. Now I know I could have issues because I'm currently using that Indonesia. So what I would simply just do is to head back to edit proxy, and when I edit proxy, I would go back to this UK first 5 and I would edit it. I will specifically look for that particular IP address that was just giving us Indonesia. I think that IP address ended at just to confirm, one of these bots had it. One of these bots had it. I've not checked the location of every one of them. Okay, 190. So I'll look for a bot that has an IP, sorry, an IP with the last IP at 190. This is it. So I would delete this. So all I need to do is just click on this delete, or I can replace it with some other IP. I think I would want to replace it with some other IP. So I'm going to click on this particular edit. It has given me the username. So all I need to do is to change this username. I will head back to my Proxy, Smart Proxy, and I would head back here and I'll remove this 190 and I'll try out, let's say, this other one, which is 193. Yes, you get the point. 76 is the last. So this is it here, 76. I'm going to take this straight to the username, copy, come back to Okecbot and paste this here and have it added back to the chain. Delete the previous UK underscore force 5. This is it. And just save it as something new. So I'll just call this UK underscore 5 underscore first, just to change the name, and I'm going to click on save. So next is been saved. So next I would head back to the Okecbot free executor and I will switch off every single bot we just created. So to go back to where we can switch bots, when you open up Okecbot, you first get to see the inactive bots. So we're going to switch from the inactive this time around to the active, and at the active we're going to switch off all the active bots. Now the first time we had turned this on, we turned on a total of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We turned a total of 10 bots, so we're going to switch them off now and just put on a total of 5 bots. So this is the inactive. I'm going to switch this to active, and I would go down, tick this all, so it ticks every single thing on the list, and I will switch every one of these bots off. So if I put in my cursor here, you would see that we have a total of 10 bots, but each of them would go off one after the other. So by the time the entire bot has been completely terminated, we would switch on a new set of bots. I think we could do 5 this time around, and I would once again head over to whoar.net to check the IP addresses of every one of them, just to make sure we are good to go. Now, it is always advised you check your proxies, like you just saw what happened with Smart Proxy. We had selected UK, but it accidentally gave us Indonesia. Now that alone could get you banned. That alone, as little as it is, it could get you banned. This is why we advise you don't use a rotating proxy from these companies, because when you tell them to rotate your proxy within a particular location, they sometimes rotate you outside that location, and that could be one of the detection leaks you would be having. So it's best to always go for dedicated IPs, which is what I use. I currently use dedicated ISP. You can see this above. When I go back to my dashboard, you would see I have dedicated ISP. So this simply means these IPs are dedicated to me and there is no bandwidth. So from these dedicated IPs, I can specifically select the IPs I want. And should I not be okay with any of these IPs, I can always opt out just what I did for Asia and replace it with something that works perfectly fine. Now head back to the Okecbot again, and we're going to be turning about 5 bots on the UK family. So I'm going to come back again and I'll switch on 5 bots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to set my location. We changed the name this time around to UK underscore first underscore 5. So I will turn this on. Now each and every one of these bots has been turned on. We have a total of 5 bots switched on. Now let's go confirm each of the location. This is whoR.net. I'm also going to put it here, whoR.net. I'm also going to put it here, whoR.net. Same thing here. Same thing here. Now you will clearly see that each and every one of these particular bots would pick up an IP address. Like this stops at 167. This is 167. This could be 167 too. I mean, it's random. Picks up 167. Did we turn on a location? Because every one of them, 253, 253 one, they're all practically the same IP. Let's head back to the Okecbot and see if we applied. Yeah, we did apply a location, but it seems each and every single one of them happens to be using an the same IP. Now, only one thing could actually be the cause of this, and that is what happens here. So right here, we allowed it to be 167. So I'm going to come back again and click on the UK. On the UK, we had a total of, I think we had 167 turned on, we had 169 turned on. I would head back to Okecbots. I would head back to the Proxy chain. I would edit the Proxy chain, which is the UK Force 5. I would go through the proxies I had allowed, which is 167, good, 169, good, 32, good, 107, good, and 76. So 169, 32, good, 107, good, and 76, good. So I think these are the 5 IPs rather that I had initially set up. So we have a total of those 5 IP addresses. So I'm going to leave this on. I'm going to head back to the Okecbots. I'll switch off the bots. It takes a longer time when you have some bots currently on. Okay, so we're going to head back to the active. We have a total of 5 active bots. We're going to switch off every one of them. Okay, so now this has all been fixed. The next thing is to turn on this bot once again. So the UK family will turn on 5 bots. 3, 4, 5. And we have to make sure we put in our location, which is UK first 5, and turn on this bot again. That's the first bot coming on board, the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. Okay, beautiful. Now we're going to head back to whor.net on each and every one of those bots just to confirm the location once again. So this here ends with 76. This is 76 as well. This is 76, 76. 167. So out of every single one of those bots, a huge number of them, or three of them, use 76. One was a different IP altogether, which is okay. This is 32, still from the UK as well, but this is 32. This is 176. This is 76. This is 32. So we have about three different kind of IP, but one of them has um, 76 as the 167 as the ending. So this is 167. This is okay. This is 76, 76, 76, 32, and 167. Now each and every single one of this IP address are completely from the UK. That is one. Two, they could be used by multiple devices. So for instance, right now we can see 76 here and 76 here. It's not going to be a problem. Now where the problem comes in is when you have over 20 devices using 76. So now this simply means that our bot has properly been done and we're completely good to go. Now at this particular point in time, we can start loading any YouTube channel if we feel like. So let me show you how to load, let's say, a YouTube channel. I'm going to switch off this entire bot. Okay, I'm the lead developer on Okecbot, and I think this particular termination time is quite slow. So on the new updates, this is currently version 4.5. On our new updates, I will do as much as possible to make sure bots have been terminated as fast as possible. So what we just used right now is called the free executor. It's practically you turning on bots yourself and shutting them yourself. But this is not how you generate traffic or generate YouTube views. So let me walk you through on how to generate traffic, YouTube views, and all that. I'm going to click on this section where it says random executor. On this random executor, I am going to first try to see if I have access to it. It's a paid access, so that simply means you can only use this particular random executor if you are a paid member. Now, should you want to get access to this, it's paid. You can sign up on the website and make payment on the website. But other than that, you can use the free executor, and just like the name applies, it's free. The free executor is used to launch up your bot, test your IP, log into Google just to save your bot state, your cookies, local storage, and the rest. But anything that involves driving huge traffic to a particular website or doing lots of automations in real time, it is advisable to use random executor or other executor, as using the free executor could be quite a pain to switch on and off bots manually. We're going to be waiting for quite some time for every single thing to load up, and once the whole page has fully loaded up, we can proceed. Still taking some time. Doesn't really take time this long. So I presume I could hold command and arrow to refresh, as I suspect that could be probably an error. So hitting on the refresh. Why this is taking a lot of time to load, I will head over to the orderly executor. So the difference between the orderly executor and the random executor just keeps launching with no restrictions, while the orderly executor has like a definite time. So you could actually state the amount of times you want an action executed on the random executor and have it execute using using that particular limit. Now, while this is taking lots of time to execute, I would kindly stop this over here. And the aim of this whole thing was to show you how to use Proxies. So, okay, I could be patient longer, but I wouldn't want this video to escalate the main purpose. So that was how to use proxy chains on Okecbot. On the next video, I would show you how to drive traffic. I would check why it's currently taking a whole lot of time to load, and on the second section I'll show you how to use every single one of these IPs we have actually created to drive traffic to YouTube account. Okay, it has loaded, but it took so long. So I'm going to head back here. We have lots of activities. These are the things we do and we perform. Say I want to drive views. This is why I can head over like every single one of these activities. You can all see them here. So these are like activities that are to be executed, and should I say head down and put in a device range, say 1 to 2, say 2 to 3, and put this on, let's say, UK. Now what this simply means is each and every single one of this device, it says one of the devices are not up to, we have, okay, let me head back again and see what location, we didn't choose UK. This is it, UK underscore first, so we get to use the UK location. This is we put in the UK location here. So let me click again. Okay, it's saying there's an error here. This should be 223, not 222. So 223, and I can now click on start. So at this particular point in time, each and every single one of these bots would open up and perform an activity. This could be a variety of things. I wasn't hoping on doing this here, but I will just watch you see how it works. So one bot has just opened Google and nothing else, just there. I'm trying to be on the Google page because that's what human beings do. We sometimes head over to Google and just stay on Google page doing nothing. Now there are lots of activities to be performed, so each bot would perform an activity, and when it is done with completing that activity, it will move over to the next thing. So for instance, I can see a bot heading over to YouTube, and I'm happy this happened over now because I can see here it says your browser can't play this video. So what this simply means is that you are currently using a browser that is not compatible with the video. Some videos cannot be played by certain browsers, so the best thing to do is to use a universal browser. This could be like your Google Chrome or Opera. So for a person, I have Opera installed on this computer. It's a Mac. I have Brave installed. So I'm going to start with Brave. So I just switched on the Brave browser, and if you're following this for the first time, open up Brave and type this link, Brave, just the way it is right here. It's going to give you what we call a full details about your current Brave version. What is more important to us right here is to copy this particular executable path. So copy this, head back to Okecbot and paste this for, let's say, iPhone. Now I like using multiple browsers, so if I'm using Brave for iPhone, I would like to use Opera for the next one. So this is Brave for iPhone. On Opera, I'm going to head over to Opera and type Opera um, version. So just the way I did Brave, you can see Brave version. I also just did the same thing to Opera version, and this is what I have. So I'm also going to copy this executable part over here This is it, executable part, and I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to copy the executable part. Now, every single video that I couldn't play before would have no other option than to play right now, because those browsers are browsers that has been made to, be able to play any kind of video. So I have two browsers opening for Brave. So this means these are like two iPhones, because if you recall, iPhones were for Brave, while Androids were for Opera. So I'm going to scroll down. This is going to be a manual process, but I would have to do this myself. So what this simply means at the moment is I'm being told to accept what we call what's it called again? I'm going to be accepting the cookies and the storage. So this practically means that I'm going to be accepting every single. It's taking a while to load down. What I'm actually trying to do right now is to accept this to accept cookies. It shouldn't be freezing. It should take me down. Now this is why when we create bots, we first all go to google.com, we go to YouTube, we go to mail.google.com, we accept all the cookies to be stored before we start using them. Like currently right now I'm trying to generate traffic to this particular YouTube video amongst other things, but not every single one of these bots has been, cookie approved. So what this means is that I will head over to the free executor. I will head over to the UK family we created. I would use every one of this family to open Google. And when they open Google, I would accept, which is consent. After which I can go back to loading, and the cookies and everything will be perfect and good to go. So this is a very long and hectic video. I hope you really watched to the end. This was how to use Proxies with a bit of how to load. But the second video will be specifically dedicated to just teaching you how to load a YouTube. So I'm going to be stopping this video right here.